Ex-husband's incredible gesture after 5 years revealed, a touching act that transforms everything. In the quaint town of Maplewood, Sarah sat surrounded by stacks of student papers, every inked word a reminder of her battle for survival. The walls of her cramped office felt like they were closing in. She fought the whispers of doubt that threatened to engulf her. Had she really poured all her heart into teaching merely to watch it collapse? 5 years had passed since her divorce from Tom, and in that time he had become everything she resented. His shiny new life as a corporate lawyer in the city contrasted sharply with her own daily struggles. Every success he shared on social media felt like a stab to her pride. She wanted success too, but in a way that meant something far removed from the shallow strings of wealth that now held Emily in limbo between loyalty and longing. Sarah's hands shook with exhaustion as she considered the administration's looming decisions. Her department was failing, attendance dwindling, and the college's facilities, which had once been a source of pride, seemed to crumble as rapidly as her spirit. The thought of them seeking fresh faces from elite institutions stung deeply. It felt like betrayal. Yet, news hit her like lightning when she unearthed through hushed conversations that Tom held sway in recruiting for his prestigious firm. He had pulled apart their family, but could he so easily mend the community they'd both walked away from? Her heart sank, clashing with an all-too-familiar anger and confusion. Before she could fully process the heaviness in her chest, a weight landed in front of her. An envelope, its surface bearing her name in Tom's unmistakable handwriting. A wave of apprehension surged through her as nostalgia clashed with unresolved bitterness. She unsealed it with trembling fingers and found a check inside, enough to provide what her students desperately needed, along with a note that called her breath to halt. "Sarah, I've watched you persevere, and I want to help," it read, as if he were suggesting that the past 5 years of their lives had been mere shadows in the light of this gesture. Was this his version of an olive branch? Guilt surged through her. Accepting would feel like surrendering to the very man who had sent their lives on a collision course. What did it say about her values? She grappled with a potent cocktail of emotions, pride colliding with desperation, resentment entwined with the longing for the comfort he could provide. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Emily had noticed her mother's turmoil. Her own heart was torn, for she desperately wished for closeness, caught between the simplicity of her mother's values and the allure of her father's charm. The weight of the recent revelation felt relentless, and then Emily's voice sliced through Sarah's thoughts. She wanted an internship at Tom's firm, a chance to catapult her future. Yet Sarah felt that tug of dread unfurling in her chest. Was this the life their family needed? That moment hung heavy, an inflection point where every choice felt like a fracture in the fragile unit they were trying to hold. Sarah stood there, paralyzed by the gravity of the decision that lay before her, while feeling the echoes of anger, love, and desire intertwining like thick vines around her heart. Would forgiving Tom take precedence over her dignity? As Emily's yearning for affirmation from Tom pulsed through their home, Sarah knew the facade they held together was now teetering, challenging whether they could redefine family amidst the scars that loomed over them. The tension spiked, shaping their next steps into uncharted territory. The half-eaten check sat heavy in Sarah's mind, a symbol of every unresolved argument and whispered regret. She could still feel the weight of Tom's condescending claps on her back 5 years ago, the way he'd declared their marriage tarnished. Yet here he was again, sliding into her life with the facade of helpfulness. The duality of her emotions spun in dizzying circles. Here was a chance for her students, a chance for redemption. Yet she couldn't shake the bitterness that still clung to her memories, as though they were charred remnants of a fire. Twinges of duty brushed through her thoughts, pulling her deeper into a haze of introspection. Could she step outside her pride and allow Ollivander, the college's art program head, to create something beautiful again? The funds were so desperately needed, and as she glanced at the clock on her wall, she felt every moment twitch with urgency. Torn between her instinct to refute his offer and the undeniable need facing her, her professional voice evaporated into the air. Maybe it was time to let go of the past, even if just for a moment, to make space for something potentially brighter. In her line of work, she had often championed the philosophy that creativity could bridge chasms. Perhaps extending that idea into her life wasn't such a betrayal after all, but a small nod to hopeful possibilities. She needed to navigate through this labyrinth of her emotions, one step at a time. Her mind danced with visions of the chaos she could turn into clarity in her classroom. Her students, bright and eager, ready to be inspired by the world around them. This was not just her fight, but theirs, the minds she nurtured, the futures she helped forge. But beneath those dreams lay another question. Would she truly be able to reject the shame and lean into the extension of goodwill offered to her? Fingers still trembling, Sarah picked up her phone, and before she could hesitate, thumb hovering over Tom's contact, she felt the weight of Emily's aspirations slide into view. As she prepared to type, she sensed her daughter's longing for a cohesive unit, a relationship she was convinced was obtainable. The internal scuffle inevitably pitted her mother's instincts against her fears, awakening a fierce resolve she thought had dulled. "Mom, can we talk?" Emily's voice broke through just as Sarah hit send. The impulse to reach out, swamping by urgency to address the distance growing in their shared space. She turned and nodded, her mouth curving into a bittersweet smile. Of course. The tenderness in her response belied the tension that lingered. An unspoken apology, perhaps, for her lingering resentment toward Tom and the way it had twisted Emily's perception of family. As Emily stepped forward, a palpable shift echoed through the room, parching an emotional barrier Sarah had unknowingly erected, like a dam about to burst with rain. She noticed the flickers of anxiety etched in Emily's brow, the concern lurking behind her bright, hopeful eyes. Being stuck in a loop of disappointment was not what either of them needed. "Are you proud of me, Mom?" The question fell from Emily's lips, slicing through Sarah like a whip. The weight of the world seemed to crush in on her as the walls of the room pressed tighter, each reply weighted with significance. Pride, the very thing that had gnawed at her stomach since the divorce, unleashed a torrent of self-analysis. Was it fame she wanted? Did integrity mean sacrificing what felt like soft power? Suddenly, taking the high road for appearances felt like losing. "I am, but we can't let Tom determine who we are or what we need," she answered, her voice steadying as a strategy began to form. If she could leverage this moment, perhaps she could redefine her path alongside Emily, one in which their identities bloomed instead of wilted under external influence. Emily watched her mother intently, the suppliant wish for reassurance persistent, as Sarah sensed the time had come. It was time to confront the painful messages they had held onto for too long. "Let's talk about what we want, our vision," Sarah suggested, feeling both terrified and empowered. The moments shared could illuminate their paths forward, beyond their apprehensions, nightingales breaking incomplete silence. Yet just as clarity began to form, a sudden torrent of anxiety encompassed her heart. What if they stumbled upon deeper issues, or worse, unresolved resentment toward Tom's gestures? Her breathing intensified. Would it be worth unearthing more than she was ready to confront? Then came the realization. Every interaction, every choice, all coiled toward this moment. The shift was undeniable. She had choices ahead, and the next steps could burrow the path toward healing. One way or another, it was time for a reckoning. But was she prepared for what lay
ahead? The door to understanding lay ajar, waiting to be navigated, and Sarah felt an urgent pull toward action as the storm cloud of silence stretched overhead, taut with unspoken truths. She tightened her resolve, bracing for the plunge deeper into their conversation. As she exhaled slowly, a query creeped into the back of her mind, ready to set the stage for what might follow. Would they be able to confront Tom together? Or would the pain of the past eclipse their current opportunities for growth? The air in the room thrummed with tension as Sarah faced Emily, the weight of their unspoken history hanging between them like a suspended curtain. Moments stretched thin, and the impending conversation felt like standing on the precipice of a canyon, a jagged drop just beneath her. She inhaled deeply, a mix of resolve and apprehension filling her lungs. The moment was here, and she dared to believe that it could lead to uncharted territories for both of them. Let's start with what you're interested in, Em. What do you really want? Sarah's voice broke the silence, a fragile anchor in turbulent waters. The question hung in the air, demanding answers while pushing both of them to confront the vast uncertainties. Emily's brows knitted together, her mouth opening slightly as she hesitated. I just want us to be okay, to feel like a family again, she finally murmured. The words emerged carefully, as if each syllable was a fragile pulse, revealing the heart of her longing. Sarah felt a twinge of guilt. It was the type of wish a child made for security, not knowing the complexities that entangled their lives. The irony did not escape her, that this yearning, so innocent, was layered with the jagged edges of past grievances. The path wasn't straightforward, but her heart urged her to navigate it nonetheless. It feels like we lost ourselves in all of this. Emily waved her arms, capturing the intangible heaviness of their shared grief, the sadness wrapped in the family dysfunction they'd endured. And sometimes I feel like you're stuck too, like you're trying to hold everyone together, and you don't want to admit how hard it is. A sense of vulnerability washed over Sarah, her usually stoic defenses straining against reality. Could it be true? Was she so wrapped up in concealing her struggles that she had inadvertently distorted their view of family? Sarah had thought her resilience was a shield. Instead, it had become a barrier. I am stuck, she admitted, the confession slipping out before she could hold it back. Holding it all together for you and trying to figure out how I can manage these feelings towards Tom. It's like every time I think I've moved on, there's a reminder of the past. Emily nodded, the connection solidifying between mother and daughter like a thread woven back together. We can face it, you know. It's not easy, but we're both allowed to feel upset, like there's more than
one way to process what's happened, she offered gently, eyes brightening as if a light bulb had sparked above her head. Perhaps that's what we need, a way to confront the past, not hide from it. Sarah found herself reflecting aloud, her mind racing with the implications. Maybe facing Tom head-on isn't about defeat, but courage. The idea settled over her like a warm blanket, pushing her to consider what her intentions would be. Would she seek out confrontation merely to satisfy her pride, or was it to prioritize closure and clarity for the sake of their growth? The line between strength and vulnerability blurred, but instead of fear, she felt hope swell within her. "Mom," Emily interrupted her internal dialogue, lifting her chin with a newfound courage. "Let's make a plan, together. Address everything, the grants, Tom. Let's not suppress it anymore. You can teach me how to fight for what we deserve."
The sudden rush of determination sparked like wildfire between them, igniting a shared purpose amidst the vulnerability. Sarah realized this wasn't just about her anymore. Emily needed to forge her own identity, independently of their past turmoil. In this moment, she would guide her daughter through the complexities of life rather than shielding her from them. "All right," Sarah breathed, the knot in her stomach unwinding just a bit. "We'll sketch a plan. We'll step into the chaos, confront Tom together, and we won't do it out of anger or resentment. We'll choose healing." As the words left her mouth, a wave of relief washed over her, stirring the seeds of change within. Yet beneath it coursed an undertow of anxiety. Confrontation was still a looming shadow, a potential fracture in the changes she hoped to embrace. "What if it turns messy, Mom? What if it doesn't go how we hope?" Emily's voice trembled with uncertainty, echoing Sarah's own hidden fears. "Then we'll deal with it," she affirmed, but the words felt thin, barely anchoring her in the shifting tides. The road ahead seemed fraught with potential pitfalls and possibilities, and while determination pulsed in her veins, doubt lingered, whispering fears of disaster at every turn. Would they emerge stronger, or would the turbulence of past emotions sweep them away? The time had come. They stood at the threshold of an uncertain journey, hearts exposed and ready. With her daughter by her side, Sarah felt grit sprouting alongside trepidation. But she couldn't shake the question lingering in the recesses of her mind. Could they truly harness the power of confrontation to carve a new beginning? With every moment becoming a prelude to their fate, she realized one truth was immutable. They would either forge ahead together or fracture apart irrevocably. Emboldened yet unsettled, her resolve grounded a new thought as she pondered their next steps. Did confrontation hold the key to their reawakening, or would it unlock wounds still fresh and raw? The next morning dawned with a clarity that felt foreign to Sarah. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, illuminating the remnants of their late-night brainstorming session, scattered notepaper dotted with hastily scribbled ideas and unfished plans. It should have brought her comfort, but instead it intensified the weight of their undertaking. This newfound resolve was not just a call to action, it was a full-blown declaration of war against the ghosts that loomed over their lives. As she poured coffee into her favorite mug, a chipped relic from happier times, her hands shook slightly. Each sip tasted bittersweet, rich with uncertainty. She had faced countless challenges in her career, but this felt different. The stakes were more personal. This was a battle for her family's future. With Emily by her side, preparing for the inevitable confrontation felt less like an execution and more like a pivotal moment in both their lives. Her daughter's suggestion to address everything head-on stirred a sense of urgency within Sarah, but an undercurrent of guilt nagged at her. What if she had failed Emily all these years by not walking through the pain with her? Settling at the kitchen table, Sarah drew in a deep breath. "Okay, Emily," she began, determination clawing its way into her voice. "Let's lay out our plan clearly. We can't just bungle into this. We need a strategy." Emily nodded, eyes wide, absorbing her mother's newfound intensity. They dug into their plans, drafting a list of grievances and logistical considerations. Alongside the emotional burdens they'd carry, Sarah noted down practical points related to their upcoming meeting with Tom. Each word on the page felt heavy with significance, a push toward clarity, not chaos. But as they scattered thoughts next to each other, doubts crept back in, forming an intrusive whisper of concern in Sarah's mind. "Are we really ready to confront him, Em? What if he retaliates or refuses to acknowledge our points?" Emily leaned forward, resting her chin on her hands. "Mom, if we don't do this, we're still trapped in the same cycle. Addressing it can lead us out. Just think about how many times we've avoided it. We can't keep pretending." Her daughter's words struck deeper than expected, reframing Sarah's fears into actionable insights. It was as if Emily were illuminating her blind spots, urging her to recognize that avoidance had never brought peace. Frustration and sadness were not just shadows to evade, but realities that demanded confrontation. Perhaps the real challenge isn't confronting him, Sarah conceded quietly, but confronting ourselves first, the parts of us that have let fear dictate our decisions. Silence enveloped the room as they both processed this admission. It wasn't just about Tom, it was about how they had stunted their growth out of apprehension. "There's something I need to say," Emily broke the stillness, her voice trembling slightly. "I've admired how you've always strived to hold things together, but I want you to know that it's okay if you're not okay. You don't have to bear this weight alone. It's time we share it, even if it means facing uncomfortable truths." Those words
lodged themselves deeply in Sarah's psyche, sparking an awareness that perhaps admitting their shared vulnerabilities would unlock new strengths between them. She was not her past failures. She was evolving, learning, and strengthening her core, both as a person and as a mother. As they continued refining their plans, Sarah noticed a shift within her resolve, a convergence of fear and excitement that felt almost liberating. What if this confrontation catalyzed not just healing with Tom, but an unforeseen transformation in her relationship with Emily? With time ticking ever closer to their appointed meeting, she steeled her mind against what lay ahead. The thought of facing Tom now felt less like an impending storm and more like a door swinging open to new possibilities. What if he did surprise them both with a leap of understanding, igniting insights that had been dormant for years? As their plans took shape, Sarah realized that she couldn't control the outcome, only how they approached the confrontation. With both trepidation and strength radiating from her center, she turned to Emily. "We'll face him together, and regardless of what he says, we'll hold our ground." The rest of the day slipped by, each moment thick with anticipation, until the hour of reckoning arrived. Standing on the threshold of their confrontation, the echoes of past wounds lingered, demanding attention. With each beat of her heart, Sarah questioned not only Tom's reaction, but the implications of their confrontation for her own identity. Were they prepared to be fully seen, to lay bare their truths? As they drove toward the meeting place, the atmosphere inside the car charged, brimming with an emergency of emotions. The moment loomed just ahead, beckoning them to the brink of revelation. Would they uncover the strength to reshape their future, or was the painful history woven too tightly for healing to ensue? Conflict burgeoned thick in the air, with Sarah grasping the steering wheel tightly, the road ahead both daunting and unknown. Would this moment mark a threshold into liberation, or would it reveal fractures too deep to mend? The answer danced just out of reach, foreshadowing the confrontation that was finally about to unfold. As Sarah parked the car, a lump formed in her throat, an unwelcome guest amidst the high-tension atmosphere in the vehicle. She exhaled deeply, gripped the steering wheel's cold surface, and glanced at Emily, who sat beside her, a mirror of intense anticipation and fear. The entity they were confronting was not simply Tom, but all the years of silence and unaddressed pain that had knitted themselves into the fabric of their lives. "Remember what we talked about?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling yet steady. Sarah nodded, feeling a surge of both encouragement and pressure. If they were to emerge as evolved versions of themselves, she realized they had to dismantle the carefully constructed walls they had relied on for protection. With one final glance in the rearview mirror, Sarah recognized the years of hurt behind her, even if they weighed heavily on her heart. She stepped out of the car, feeling the cool air brush against her skin. It sharpened her awareness, grounding her in the moment. As they walked toward the entrance of the coffee shop, Sarah scanned the surroundings. It was a place filled with laughter, conversations swirling around her, seemingly mocking her internal turbulence. She was preoccupied with the knowledge of her impending confrontation, barely registering the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. "Let's just breathe," Emily suggested, placing a reassuring hand on Sarah's arm. The gesture was simple yet monumental, serving as a reminder of their united front. Inside, Tom sat at a table in the corner, an easy semblance of calmness on his face. But far from calming her, it fed a flicker of rage. How could he be so composed when everything they'd endured hung in the air like a dark cloud? The deep uncertainty and frustration within her twisted as they approached. "Hey, you two," he greeted, a hint of warmth in his voice, as if this meeting was just another casual catch-up. "Let's cut to the chase," Sarah said, surprising herself with her own boldness. The words emerged like a proclamation, shaking loose the chains she had worn for years. She and Emily settled on the opposite side of the table, and the reality of the moment sank in. This wasn't merely about dissatisfaction with past decisions. It was about claiming their narrative. "What's wrong?" Tom asked, the easygoing facade slipping at her tone. Behind that composure, Sarah discerned an unwillingness to reflect deeply on the past, the unwillingness of confronting guilt that had long festered. "You know what's wrong, Tom. We need to discuss the impact of your decisions, the hurt they caused, and the way they've shaped our lives." The shift was palpable. For the first time, Sarah felt like she was no longer a passive participant in someone else's story. She was seizing her voice and reclaiming her narrative. "What's wrong?" Tom asked, the easygoing facade slipping at her tone. Behind that composure, Sarah discerned an unwillingness to reflect deeply on the past, the unwillingness of confronting guilt that had long festered. "You know what's wrong, Tom. We need to discuss the impact of your decisions, the hurt they caused, and the way they've shaped our lives." The shift was palpable. For the first time, Sarah felt like she was no longer a passive participant in someone else's story. She was seizing her voice and reclaiming her narrative. "What do you want from me?" Tom asked defensively, his body tensing. "We want honesty, an acknowledgement of the hurt, and an understanding of how we can move forward," Emily interjected, her youthful voice stronger than Sarah expected. As the tension thickened, Sarah sensed a moment of transformative potential unfolding. If she could shimmer through the veil of hostility, she might unveil something unprecedented within herself and perhaps Tom. In their shared silence, Sarah flipped through the list of grievances in her mind, preparing to confront every fragment of her past that had been stifling her growth, every moment of silence that kept her and Emily stagnant in pain. But as she spoke, every word felt woven not merely from resentment, but from fervent hope for something new to emerge. Each negative experience they laid bare became vital threads in a tapestry of potential healing. "Do you remember when?" she began, recounting instances of fractured trust, revealing the ways in which those wounds still bled into their... For every sentence she spoke, she could feel the shackles of silence loosening. Yet amidst this opening, a dark thought crept in. Would Tom ever truly grasp the depth of their discomfort? With newfound clarity, Sarah knew this meeting wasn't merely about Tom understanding them. It was about their empowerment. No matter the outcome, she and Emily would emerge stronger, grounding themselves in their shared resilience. But the increasing silence from Tom sparked a gnawing question in Sarah's mind. Was he capable of recognizing the devastation he'd caused? As the tension mounted, she couldn't shake the fear that they might be met with indifference, that he wouldn't step up to acknowledge the depth of their pain. Just as she steeled herself to continue, Tom surprised her with a question that teetered between sincerity and dismissal. "And what do you expect me to do about it?" The weight of her expectations spun around her mind, raising the stakes momentously. Sarah stood on a precipice. The moment of truth was at hand. Would they break free or remain ensnared in the past? Their future hinged on the answer, and yet uncertainty loomed thick. While Sarah searched for the right words that could alter everything, she realized the most pivotal statement was only waiting for her to grasp it. Would she have the courage to articulate it, or would fear silence her once again? The air in the coffee shop felt thick, every breath becoming a conscious effort as Sarah wrestled with Tom's question. What did she truly expect him to do? The urgency of the moment pushed her thoughts to a boiling point. She glanced at Emily, who wore her expression of fierce determination,
a mute but powerful statement of solidarity. Their eyes locked, and in that shared look, Sarah felt a surge of strength that reminded her of their purpose, to reclaim their lives. "Honestly," Sarah began, her voice steadying inch by inch, "I expect you to understand, to hear what we've been through, not just as mere inconveniences in your life. We need to feel validated instead of dismissed." Tom shifted in his seat, a flicker of discomfort in his eyes. The warmth that had first greeted them was fading, replaced by an all too familiar defensiveness. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he replied, the trappings of regret wrapping around his words. "But you never checked in, you never asked," Emily interjected, her youthful conviction slicing through Tom's fabric of excuse. "You made decisions for everyone without consulting us, as if we didn't matter." Her statement reverberated, bringing an air of vulnerability to the surface. It was a reminder of their shared past, where choices had been made at their expense. Taking a breath, Sarah continued, feeling deeper clarity emerge. "You have to accept the reality that your choices upended our lives. It wasn't just a mistake or a misunderstanding. It created a rift, a chasm that felt insurmountable. You were not just affecting your life, but ours as well." As she spoke, Sarah realized she was not just addressing Tom, she was confronting her own fear of being unheard, of being invisible in the narrative of her own life. Through this confrontation, her voice grew stronger, sharper, no longer an echo of past hesitations. "What do you want me to say?" Tom replied, genuine confusion etched on his face. "What's the next step?" "I want you to acknowledge that we've suffered," Sarah said, feeling a wave of conviction washing over her. "It's about taking responsibility, Tom, and showing us that you care enough to understand." In this vulnerable moment, something clicked within Sarah. She wasn't just demanding recognition from Tom, she was claiming her agency. The fear that had gnawed at her retreated like an unwelcome tide. She wanted to make sure she would never again allow someone else's decisions to root her in a place of pain. But a thought jolted her. What if he didn't understand? The weight of that question stirred inside her, as if twisting the knife that had long ago embedded itself in her heart. Would Tom's defensiveness become a barrier? Would he remain the architect of their suffering? Tom's expression was uncertain, shifting between defensiveness and sincerity. It was a precarious balance that could tip either way. "You're right," he finally conceded, the admission hanging densely in the air. "I didn't realize. I guess I never wanted to face what I could have done differently. His words faltered into silence, a silence that was both promising and dangerous. Sarah felt the urge to push harder, to probe deeper into the crevices of their shared pain. "Tom, this is about more than doing it right next time. It's about understanding the depth of the wounds you've created." Her heart raced with a mix of hope and trepidation. Only through that can we even think about moving forward. The table trembled with the force of unresolved tension as they all lost themselves in thought. The possibility of clarity hung in the air, yet uncertainty lingered. What came next would either fortify their path to healing or entrench them further in divisions. As Sarah watched Tom weigh his options, her mind was ablaze with a revelation. Could they truly redefine their relationship? Would he break the cycle, or would he smother their growth in the weight of what he had not yet recognized? The question loomed heavy. There was no retreat from this confrontation, but the outcomes danced tantalizingly out of reach. Fear and exhilaration collided within her, amplifying the stakes. And in the silence that followed, she braced for what Tom might say next, aware that his response could alter the course of her journey forever. The silence stretched long, a taut string ready to snap at any moment. Sarah's mind raced, spiraling between anticipation and doubt. How much could she really expect from Tom? Would he show the willingness to evolve, or would he retreat into the familiar shadows of his own self-preservation? Finally, Tom broke the stillness. "I appreciate you both being candid with me,"
he said, his tone more sincere than defensive. "But if I'm being honest, I'm scared. Scared of what you'll uncover, of how much I've hurt you. It was easier to just pretend I didn't have a role in this." His admission hung in the air, and Sarah felt an unexpected surge of empathy. Here was the man who had made choices that deeply affected her and Emily, yet he too was grappling with fear. Hadn't that been part of the problem all along? They'd all been too scared to confront the truth. Yet fear could also be paralyzing. "Tom, we can't heal if you stay locked inside that fear," she said, leaning forward, her determination sharpening into focus. "We have to break through this together. We deserve that much, don't you think?" A flicker crossed Tom's face, and for a moment Sarah thought he might shrink back. Instead, he took a deep breath and nodded. "You're right. It's time I own up to my mistakes, starting with how I treated both of you. I want to do better. I just need guidance on how." The vulnerability in his voice struck a chord within her. Sarah realized that perhaps this was a turning point, not in just their relationship, but in her understanding of herself. Being vulnerable hadn't meant losing power. It had meant uncovering strength. "Let's map it out," Emily chimed in, a glimmer of hope sparking in her eyes. "What would taking responsibility look like? What can we do to help you understand?" There was a fierceness to Emily's approach. She had been the most directly impacted. The gravity of the situation hit her differently, but it also fueled her desire for accountability. As they began to sketch out a plan, Sarah felt the adrenaline rush through her veins, igniting excitement in her chest. They talked about honest conversations, setting expectations for future interactions, and creating a supportive environment where they all could feel seen and acknowledged. It was a delicate formation of trust, with each person carving out space for honest dialogue. But beneath the excitement, a new tension simmered. What if, despite their earnest intentions, Tom stumbled again? Would he truly grasp the implications of their discussions? Sarah wrestled with the concern that their fragile trust could crumble under the weight of old habits. "We'll keep each other accountable," she suggested, her voice steady. "No more pushing our feelings aside. If something feels off, we say it." Each word was a brick in the rebuilding of their fractured relationship, a scaffold to support what they were attempting to construct. Yet, as they discussed the way forward, doubt nagged at Sarah's mind. Could she truly believe in Tom's capacity for change? Was she ready to trust again after everything she had endured? It felt like stepping out onto a precipice, questioning whether to leap or retreat. As their conversation began to draw to a close, Sarah set her gaze on Tom, his body language shifting with a newfound resolve. "I want to make this right," he said suddenly, his eyes aflame with determination. "Give me the chance to show you." Would she be able to give him that chance? The delicate dance between hope and skepticism played out in her mind. Before she could answer, an uneasiness twisted in her stomach, an emerging awareness of everything still unspoken. As Sarah contemplated the implications of their next steps, she felt the weight of the past lingering, ready to pounce on their fragile commitment. With a mixture of trepidation and eagerness, Sarah realized that everything was hanging in the balance. They were on the brink of something pivotal, a recalibration of their relationships. But uncertainty loomed large. What would it take to make this transformative gesture real? The question loomed, heavy and charged, as Tom looked at her expectantly. The next phase of their journey was about to unfold, but the outcome, whether it would bring growth or pain, remained untapped. The room buzzed with muted anticipation, the air heavy with unresolved tension. Sarah's heartbeat echoed in her ears as she wrestled with the multitude of choices before her. Would she dare to embrace this chance for healing, or would she remain shackled by the ghosts of the past? "Let's do this," she finally said, the words slipping past her lips as a measure of resolve filtered through her. "If we're going to move forward, we need structure, a timeline that keeps us accountable." Emily nodded in agreement, frenzied enthusiasm igniting her as she added, "We can set small milestones. We'll each share our feelings along the way. This isn't just about Tom, it's about us too." As plans took shape, Sarah felt a surge of clarity. The urgency of accountability felt transformative. By vocalizing their emotions, each step would nurture their fragile trust. It was a radical shift, a direct confrontation with the realities they had avoided for too long. Tom leaned forward, his gaze penetrating and serious. "I can commit to that," he replied, his voice steady. "I'll keep you updated on my progress, maybe even seek guidance on my own." There was a hint of gentleness in his demeanor, a willingness that had been absent for years. Yet a whisper of doubt clawed at Sarah's mind. Was vulnerability enough to incite real change? What would happen when the pressures of life crept back in? Would Tom revert to his defensive habits? "Okay, but we need rules," she stipulated, managing to keep her voice even despite her unease. "This has to be a two-way street. If there's something that feels wrong, we address it right away. No suppression. We can't afford to tiptoe around each other." "Absolutely," Emily affirmed, her tone resolute. "No more hiding. We owe it to ourselves to confront issues head-on, even if it's uncomfortable." As the trio delved deeper into their agreements, Sarah's resolve solidified. This was about more than the three of them. It was a test of her own character. Could she maintain her clarity and boundaries while nurturing a relationship fraught with a complicated past? Days morphed into weeks, and soon they settled into a routine. Each meeting began with a check-in. Feelings surfaced, raw and unfiltered. Sarah was taken aback by her own capacity for compassion. She listened to Tom as he recounted his fears about failure and inadequacy. It was stunning to watch a grown man lay bare his vulnerabilities. But amidst this personal revelation lay strain. Another meeting found Tom visibly distressed, a familiar tension tightening around the space they occupied. "I messed up," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I didn't reach out when I needed to. I thought I could handle this on my own." The words stung, forcing Sarah to grapple with disappointment. Why couldn't he break the cycle? She could feel the anxiety building within her, forcing her to confront a reality in which his past behaviors threatened their tenuous progress. Her empathy battled with frustration. "You said you wanted to change," Sarah challenged gently, her tone balancing firmness with kindness. "But you're slipping back into old habits. You have to reach out when you're struggling. We're here to support you." With a sigh, Tom buried his face in his hands. Each failure felt like a weighted anchor, dragging him deeper into hopelessness. The vulnerability he had initially embraced was now a terrifying specter, and it left Sarah questioning just how much she could give. As nights turned to sleepless thoughts, Sarah stewed in her uncertainty. Her determination wavered even as her impatience grew. Would this cycle ever break? Or was she merely enabling a superficial transformation? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she found herself confronted with an unsettling thought. What if she was sacrificing her own healing journey in pursuit of helping him? A knock on her door jolted her from her spiraling reflection. It was Tom, his face shadowed with urgency. "I need to talk," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What's wrong?" she asked, dread pooling at the base of her spine. "I need help. I can't do this alone," he confessed, the tremor in his voice igniting an unexpected wave of hope mixed with apprehension. In that moment, Sarah understood that her path was intersecting with Tom's in ways she hadn't anticipated. But the question loomed larger than ever. Was she ready to extend her hand again, despite her own fears?
And as their eyes met, she felt the weight of a decision converging upon them, thick with possibility, yet fraught with the danger of renewed pain. Would this be the turning point they needed, or would it lead to another fracture? A heavy silence engulfed them, an unspoken weight that hung between Sarah and Tom like a dense fog. The urgency in Tom's eyes caught her off guard, flickering between desperation and vulnerability. Sarah felt her beating heart match the intensity of
his gaze. She was caught between a desire to shield herself and an instinct to reach out, to pull him back from the edge he seemed to be hovering over. "Sit down," she said, motioning toward the small living room couch as she ushered him inside, trying to mask the swirl of emotions that threatened to consume her. "Let's talk." Tom sank onto the couch, his shoulders slumped, a portrait of defeat and longing for connection. "I don't know where to start," he admitted, his voice filled with an unusual sincerity that both frightened and fascinated her. Sarah took a seat across from him, drawing her legs up to her chest, a physical barrier against his turmoil, yet a metaphorical bridge, she hoped. "Why do you think you can't do this alone?" she asked, maintaining eye contact to anchor their conversation. He hesitated, his fingers nervously twisting together. "I thought the distance from my past would make it easier. I didn't realize how much I needed support, how much I needed you both," he confessed. "But every time I try to stand on my own, I just fail." His admission cut deep. The realization that he was still battling the specter of his past stirred a familiar resentment in Sarah, but it was quickly overshadowed by a sudden wave of empathy. She cleared her throat, battling the turmoil of conflicting emotions gripping her. "Tom, confronting these feelings is part of the process, but you need to recognize they don't define you. You can choose to grow." His eyes met hers, glimmering with something she hadn't seen in a long time: hope. "That's just it. I want to change, but I feel trapped in this cycle. What if I'm never good enough?" For a moment, Sarah experienced a rush of clarity. She saw not just Tom's struggle, but her own readiness to confront her feelings instead of merely supporting him. "You are enough, Tom, but you have to believe it, and that means facing yourself, not just the past," she urged, her voice firm yet gentle, reminding her of her own healing journey. As they spoke, the boundaries between their struggles began to blur. Sarah realized that while Tom's fears were daunting, acknowledging her own frustrations with him could lead to profound growth for them both. She took a deep breath, each exhale a step toward confronting her own thoughts. "And I have to acknowledge my own frustrations too. Our dynamic has been one-sided for too long." Tom's expression shifted, a hint of understanding washing over his features. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I can't keep ignoring that I feel like I'm constantly taking care of you while neglecting my own feelings. This isn't just on you, it's on both of us. We need to be honest about our fears if we're going to move forward," she admitted, feeling the weight of accountability rest on her shoulders. He nodded slowly, his eyes searching hers, perhaps for reassurance or an invitation to open it. "I want that too. I want to be someone you can lean on, not just the one succeeding or failing." At that moment, inspiration struck her, igniting a spark. "Then let's establish a new kind of accountability, one where we share not only our struggles, but also our victories, no matter how small." Tom's eyes brightened, confusion giving way to renewed determination. "What if we start by setting a goal together, something that pushes both of us out of our comfort zones?" Sarah's heart fluttered at the prospect. This was no longer just about him taking steps, it was about mutual growth. "I love that idea." But as she spoke, a flicker of anxiety crept in. Would she truly be able to withstand the inevitable setbacks they both would face? Was this a fresh start, or just a temporary high before the next crash?
As they began brainstorming commitments, weekly check-ins, shared challenges, the thrill of shared possibility intertwined with the fear of potential pitfalls. Here, in this moment of renewed connection, Sarah felt a glimmer of clarity. Maybe this wasn't simply about helping Tom, but reaffirming her strength as they moved forward together. The conversation flowed, ideas mixed with laughter, and for the first time in weeks, Sarah felt a weight lifting. But even as they dreamed of new beginnings, an unsettling thought nagged at the back of her mind. Just how fragile was this progress? And as they settled into a comfortable silence, the tension returned. A question loomed over them. How long could they sustain this newfound understanding in the face of inevitable challenges? The doorbell rang, slicing through the quiet and sending a jolt of alarm through Sarah. Who could that be, she wondered, fear creeping in as she exchanged a wary glance with Tom. In a split second, she recognized that their moment of hope was about to be interrupted, likely by someone or something that could either shatter this fragile equilibrium or turn the tide for them. As Sarah opened the door, the bright afternoon light flooded the room, momentarily blinding her. Standing before her was Emily, exuberant and radiant, bearing a sense of urgency that instantly lifted the tension in Sarah's chest. "Mom, you'll never believe what just happened," Emily exclaimed, her voice bursting with enthusiasm. Sarah stepped aside to let her daughter in, curiosity piqued despite her earlier turmoil with Tom. Emily's presence breathed life into the dreary atmosphere, casting the shadows of uncertainty momentarily aside. "I got the internship at Tom's firm," she declared triumphantly, her eyes sparkling with excitement. In that moment, time seemed to freeze. Sarah's heart swelled with pride for her daughter's achievement, but beneath the surface, conflicting emotions churned. Could this really be happening at such a crucial juncture as they were about to confront their own tangled emotions? "That's amazing, Em," Sarah beamed, forcing the anxiety in her heart to retreat just enough to savor her daughter's victorious moment. But inside, a flicker of anxiety lit up. What did this mean for their current trajectory with Tom? "Mom, that's not all," Emily continued, her voice retreating to a fervent whisper. "I talked to my dad about it. He's open to helping you and the art program with your funding as well. This isn't just my chance, it could make a difference for you too." A surge of disbelief coursed through Sarah's veins. This was the moment they had been waiting for, an unexpected opening that could solidify everything they had been fighting for. But it also carried the weight of everything that had transpired between them and Tom. Could she trust this sudden change of heart, or was it just a mirage amidst the remnants of their complicated past? Sensing her hesitation, Emily reached out, placing a hand on her mother's forearm. "Mom, think about how this could transform our situation. This could be the collaboration you've needed." Tom, sitting quietly, observed this exchange, the unspoken narratives weaving through the air, indicating a shift in the dynamics of their conversation. After a long pause, he mustered his voice, trying to mask the tremor in his heart. "Sarah, if Emily believes this is a real opportunity for you, then maybe I can make that work. I want to support this too." There it was, an olive branch extended amidst the challenge of confrontation. Sarah felt the flood of emotions roll over her like a wave, a jumbled mix of empowerment and uncertainty. Here, pushed by Emily's dreams and the unexpected reconciliation with Tom, she stood at a precipice of possibility. "Okay," she said, her tone steady as the resolve built within her. "If this is going to happen, we need a plan. I want to ensure that this isn't just about financial commitment, but a genuine partnership that respects our needs moving forward." Tom nodded, the tension in his features dissolving as he recognized this moment as pivotal. Agreed. I want to show you both I'm serious about making changes. As they began to outline the specifics, with Emily eagerly contributing her ideas, Sarah found herself enveloped in a surge of clarity. The anxiety that had clouded her heart began to lift, revealing an expansive field of possibilities. For the first time, she didn't just feel like a caretaker of her family's emotional landscape. She felt freed by their collective purpose. "Let's make this an opportunity for all of us to grow," Emily chimed in enthusiastically. "We can create a structure for communication, expectations, and values. That'll keep us all accountable." Sarah's heart danced at the sound of her daughter's insightful contributions. Finally, circumstances were aligning with their collective aspirations. Each step forward, a definitive marker of special progress. But amidst her joy, the stirring from within remained. A gnawing question echoed beneath the surface. Would they really hold themselves accountable moving forward? Could they successfully transform past wounds into a foundation for future collaboration? Yet, as she locked eyes with Tom and Emily, a new horizon emerged, one grounded in possibility rather than past grievances. Maybe, just maybe, together they could forge a new relationship, cementing trust while leaving old grievances behind. Hours passed as they meticulously crafted their framework, but by the time they stepped away from their session, a sense of achievement enveloped Sarah. The tremors of anxiety had lessened, replaced by a firm foundation built on mutual respect. In that moment of clarity, she recognized her transformation over the past months. She had shifted from passive acceptance to active participation in her story. She was no longer simply Sarah, the victim of circumstances. She had grown into an empowered woman, ready to navigate the complexities of love and forgiveness, not just for herself, but for her family as well. As they concluded and moved toward the next chapter of their relationship, Sarah felt a deep pride swelling inside. Pride for having faced her fears, for accepting transformation, and for reclaiming her voice. She had transcended beyond the role dictated by the past and carved out a path forward where vulnerability would coexist with strength. With a profound sense of accomplishment, she realized they were finally on the brink of reconstructing something beautiful. Their family, not despite their struggles, but because of them. With her newfound clarity and conviction, Sarah stood ready to embrace whatever came next, unified with Emily and Tom. A bond that now embraced change, healing, and a future filled with promise. Now is the moment to act, to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow. Comment below your reactions and theories about this emotional conclusion. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative journey. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait even one more second to share.